J.J. Abrams' Star Trek almost had Kirk and Uhura swap starships. When J.J. Abrams rebooted Star Trek in 2009, he didn't just reintroduce audiences to Kirk, Spock, and the Enterprise. He remixed the mythos. The film blended origin story with high-octane action and created an alternate timeline where anything could happen. Characters who once had stable paths in Gene Roddenberry's vision were suddenly repositioned. Spock and Uhura became romantically linked. Kirk rose to captain earlier than expected, and even Leonard Nimoy returned to anchor the universe's shift. But one fascinating behind-the-scenes idea that never made it into the final cut was that James T. Kirk and Aota Uhura almost swapped starships. If Abrams had gone through with it, the franchise's dynamics might have looked very different. The original Abrams shake-up. In Abrams' reboot, Kirk is introduced as a reckless genius destined for greatness. He fast-tracks through Starfleet, aided by a mix of arrogance, brilliance, and luck, ultimately becoming captain of the USS Enterprise. Uhura, meanwhile, is reimagined as a linguistics prodigy with sharper edges and far more agency than in the 1960s series. Unlike her original depiction, where she was often sidelined to communication duties, the reboot Uhura actively shapes missions and even challenges Spock and Kirk's decisions. Still, Abrams and his team initially toyed with an idea that would have placed Kirk and Uhura in different positions altogether. Early drafts reportedly considered putting Uhura on the USS Farragut, a vessel steeped in Star Trek lore, while having Kirk serve aboard a different ship before fate, or perhaps destiny, reunited them on the Enterprise. This shuffle might sound minor, but in Star Trek, where ships are symbolic of family and identity, it would have had huge consequences. Uhura as Farragut's rising star. The Farragut holds a special place in Starfleet history. In the original series, it was the ship where young Lieutenant Kirk once served before his Enterprise years. A deadly encounter with a cloud-like entity left Kirk as one of the few survivors, shaping his sense of duty and guilt. For the reboot, the writers reportedly considered flipping that connection, placing Uhura on the Farragut instead. Had this been the case, Uhura's arc might have mirrored Kirk's original backstory. She would have been depicted as the rising officer whose experiences on another vessel hardened her perspective, preparing her for eventual service aboard the Enterprise. It could have allowed Uhura to step into a more prominent narrative space, not just as a love interest or communications officer, but as someone whose career trajectory mirrored Kirk's legendary path. In essence, Abrams might have been setting Uhura up as Kirk's true peer rather than simply his colleague. Kirk without the Enterprise? Now imagine Kirk not taking immediate command of the Enterprise. In the reboot we got, his rapid rise to captain was controversial but exhilarating, an audacious leap that defied logic but captured the film spirit. If Abrams had slowed that trajectory, placing Kirk aboard another ship, audiences might have seen him forced to earn his stripes the hard way. Serving on a different vessel could have underscored his rebelliousness. Stripped of the Enterprise's grandeur, Kirk might have been forced to confront Starfleet bureaucracy, a stricter commanding officer, or missions that didn't suit his talents. It would have delayed the iconic captaincy, but perhaps given him a deeper arc of frustration and eventual triumph. This ship swap scenario could also have redefined his first interactions with Spock and Uhura. Instead of clashing aboard the Enterprise from the start, he might have met them later, carrying his own scars and lessons from serving elsewhere. A lost opportunity for parallels. What's compelling about this scrapped idea is the thematic resonance it could have created. If Uhura had the Farragut as her proving ground and Kirk had his own struggles on another starship, the eventual convergence of both characters aboard the Enterprise would have carried more weight. Instead of Uhura being swept into Kirk and Spock's gravitational orbit, she might have arrived as an equally seasoned officer with her own starship legacy. Kirk, in turn, would have been shaped by hardship, making his ascension less about luck and more about resilience. The duality would have allowed Abrams to show how two different career paths converge on the Enterprise, symbolizing the diverse talents needed to helm Starfleet's flagship. Why Abrams abandoned the swap? Ultimately, Abrams and his writers likely dropped the ship swap for one simple reason: efficiency. The 2009 film had to juggle a sprawling cast, an alternate timeline setup, time travel stakes, and an action-driven narrative. Adding more starships and alternate assignments risked diluting the streamlined story. By keeping Kirk's destiny tethered directly to the Enterprise, Abrams simplified the plot and,